January 9, 2022. In a moment that stunned analysts around the world, North Korea's presence on the global internet simply disappeared. Government portals froze, state-run websites stopped loading. Their tiny window to the outside world went silent. At first, everyone assumed the obvious answer: retaliation. North Korea had launched a series of missile tests days earlier. Maybe the United States or South Korea had fired back, not with rockets but with code. But the truth was something no one even thought to consider. The attack didn't come from a powerful nation. It wasn't a military operation. It wasn't even a team. It was one man, alone, at home, in pajamas. A hacker who never wanted to fight, until North Korea tried to hack him first. His online name was P4X, and the story of how he brought an entire regime's internet to its knees begins 1 year earlier, long before his revenge ever started. In January of 2021, late at night, an American cybersecurity researcher sat at his desk studying lines of code. He wasn't a government agent or a spy, just a highly skilled professional who spent his life finding vulnerabilities and analyzing digital threats. Then he received a message. Another researcher claimed to have discovered a new tool. Something interesting, something worth inspecting. Curious, P4X opened the file, but he was cautious. He loaded it inside a secure virtual machine, a digital sandbox designed to protect him. At first, nothing strange happened. But within 24 hours, Google released a shocking report. North Korean hackers were targeting Western security researchers using booby-trapped files disguised as research tools. P4X froze. He ran the suspicious file again, this time studying it line by line. Hidden inside was a backdoor, an entry point for intruders to take over his system. North Korean spies had tried to hack him personally. He was stunned. He wasn't a politician, a military figure, or a billionaire. He was just one guy who studied malware. Why would an entire nation-state go after him? He quickly learned he wasn't alone. Pyongyang had been running a broad operation, secretly targeting researchers in the West to steal their work, tools, and discoveries. North Korea wasn't attacking governments. They were attacking the people who defended them. To P4X, it felt like being mugged by a foreign military. He assumed the US government would step in. Surely someone would help. Eventually, an FBI agent did contact him, but only to collect a statement. There was no follow-up, no support, no retaliation, and no protection. Weeks passed, then months. Silence. He felt completely abandoned. In his own words, "There's nobody on our side." He realized that if a nation comes after you, you're on your own. That's when the resentment began. North Korea had attacked him quietly, then walked away without consequence. They had expected him to forget about it, but P4X wasn't the type to let things go. The more time passed, the more one idea grew in his mind, a thought that started as a whisper and slowly became a mission. If no government was willing to push back, maybe he would. Could one person really strike back at an entire regime? The idea sounded ridiculous, impossible, maybe even suicidal. But as 2021 came to an end, P4X reached a decision. He would hit North Korea where it hurt most, their fragile, outdated connection to the internet, and he would do it alone. To prepare, he gathered intelligence. Most people have no idea what North Korea's internet looks like. It's tiny. Barely a sliver compared to other nations. Just a handful of networks and a few dozen websites, many of them running on ancient, unpatched systems. To a seasoned hacker, it was like a house built out of rotting wood and unlocked doors. Night after night, P4X mapped their digital infrastructure from afar. He examined servers, traced connections, and tested weaknesses. The deeper he looked, the more vulnerabilities appeared. And many of them weren't even new. They were old flaws, some nearly a decade old, that North Korean administrators had simply never fixed. One bug in a web server could cause a crash if you sent it a strange-looking header. Other systems were running outdated versions of Apache and other software full of security holes. To P4X, the message was clear. North Korea had left itself exposed. He felt his confidence growing. Yes, he could do this. He could hit them, and he could make it hurt. He began writing custom code, automated scripts that would scan North Korean servers, identify which ones were online, then hammer them with targeted exploits until they overloaded or crashed. A one-man digital war. Fast, surgical, anonymous. He worked quietly, knowing full well the risks: hack back at a foreign country, and you risk prosecution at home. You risk retaliation from the regime you're attacking. You risk everything. So he created an alias, P4X, pronounced Pax a play on the Latin word for peace, except his version of peace involved payback. By early 2022, his operation was ready. In a small home somewhere in America, a man in casual clothes sat at his computer. On his desk were a laptop, rented cloud servers, and lines of code he had built by hand. He took a deep breath, then pressed enter. The attack began. At first, nothing dramatic happened. Just text scrolling across a screen, packets firing in the background, a silent storm forming thousands of miles away. He put on a movie to distract himself, snacking on chips as he tried to stay calm. Every few minutes he paused, walked back to his computer and checked the results. And each time, the situation escalated. North Korean servers started dropping. One website timed out, then another, then another. Their national airline site down. Their official government portal down. State media, websites down. It was working. Really working. Within hours, almost every North Korean site accessible from the outside world had gone offline. But P4X wanted confirmation. He checked independent monitoring websites. Charts for North Korean domains were covered in red mass outages across the board. Cybersecurity watchers began noticing one veteran analyst studying North Korean traffic, saw an enormous wave of disruptions, and had no explanation. Meanwhile, P4X sat there grinning, knowing exactly who was responsible. By the time he went to sleep, North Korea's entire internet presence had been knocked offline by a single human being. For decades, the regime had portrayed itself as an impenetrable fortress, but in cyberspace, P4X had torn straight through its defenses. The first night of his war was over, but he knew the fallout was only beginning. The next morning, whispers spread among intelligence communities. An entire country had gone dark. Was it the United States, South Korea? A military operation? A warning tied to North Korea's missile tests? The timing looked suspicious. Experts began theorizing everything from covert retaliation to strategic messaging. Inside North Korea, almost no citizens noticed, because almost no citizens actually have access to the global internet. Only the political elite and propaganda offices use external sites. But internationally, the outage was a major embarrassment. It made the regime look vulnerable. Weak exposed. For several days, their websites blinked on and off like flickering lights. And if you want more true digital scandals and stories the world isn't supposed to know about, make sure you subscribe to The $1 Billion Scandal. Click that button, join our community, and never miss a story that exposes the secrets powerful people want hidden. To discover more untold stories, subscribe now.